Hey everybody, my name is Andy Sokolovich and I am a Gallup certified strengths coach and the owner of UnleashStrengths.com, nestled right here in the small Midwest town of Clinton, Iowa. Theme-addicts, which you're watching today, is a video series created by UnleashStrengths to highlight the massive impact StrengthsFinder and the assessment has had on over 11 million users now. It's our belief that the best way to promote its effectiveness and proven results is to interview those, just like we're doing today, who've experienced the power of strengths-based development firsthand. Each person being interviewed is intimately aware of their strengths and wants nothing more than to share their strength story. For more information and to view a recorded version with this interview, please visit UnleashStrengths.com. If you would like to be on the show, which I tell anybody, if you have a passion for strengths, developing your own, and helping to develop others' talents, please contact me at Andy@UnleashStrengths.com, and we'll schedule this interview. It's super simple. We use Google Plus Hangouts on air, or you can give me a ring at 815-441-2219. And like everybody else, we're sitting there on Facebook waiting for you to hit that like button. You can find us at facebook.com/UnleashStrengths. All right. Today's guest is Elviera. Elviera, you're from South Africa, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, representing. And you and I have been trying to do this interview for a few months now, and our schedules never really permitted it. And then you're how many hours ahead of me are you?
I think it's about 7 hours, if I'm right.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's quite the time difference. But I want to thank you so much for being on this show and choosing to embrace your talents, and also through this show share your experiences with our audience. So thank you once again for being with us today.
I really look forward. Thank you, Andy.
So Elviera, let's first introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about how strengths entered your life, and then go ahead and reveal your top 5.
Okay, well, I've got a company called Virtuous Coaching that's involved in StrengthsFinder, and my top 5 is individualization, significance, learner, restorative, and belief. So the way strengths entered my life is quite an interesting story. I was a bit, you can say, unsatisfied with where I was in my life. I was a bit frustrated in my work, and I felt like, I don't like this. And I decided to go on a journey and to discover, what makes me come alive, what makes me feel good about myself. And what I did was I actually closed up shop, like literally. I did graphic design and web design, and I closed my business and I went away to America to go and work on a cruise ship, just for a change of scenery. And yeah, it's quite a risk that I took, but I just had to do it because I had to find out, is there something that makes me come alive? And I did a whole contract, and I got a few clues about what makes me feel good and, what energizes me. And I finished my contract. I came back to South Africa, and I went to this church meeting, and the pastor, he said, he has found this phenomenal tool that will give you direction in your life. And of course, that's exactly what I needed, because I really needed some direction. And after this service that we had, I immediately went to him and I said to him, when can we do this? And I immediately paid him for the StrengthsFinder assessment, for the coaching, everything, because I was just, ready to get some direction. And So he coached me, and I learned a lot about myself during the coaching session. And I said to him, you know what, I'm actually quite jealous of what he does, because when he coached me, he said to me, everybody that sits in front of him is like a gift he opens. And I said to him, but wow, I'm so jealous, I wish I could do that. And then he said to me, well, then why don't you just become a coach? And, I thought to myself, well, why don't I just become a coach, So we've got a company here in South Africa called the Strengths Institute, or previously African Mosaic, and I went to them for strengths training. So from there, I started coaching people because I just, I wanted everyone to experience what I experienced. And yeah, so that's basically how I got introduced. And
Well, that's an amazing story. I mean, your number one's individualization. So to
yeah.
me, coaching for you probably is to use the other gentleman's terminology, like opening up a gift every time it's a new person. I think one of the reasons that we get kind of stuck in life is our job becomes monotonous. It doesn't seem to provide us with that change in scenery or that challenge that it used to. So I really applaud you for seeking that out, because that's the first step. So since that day, so now you once, and the Strengths Institute website is actually really, really cool. I was just introduced. What's the gentleman's name that started that up?
Sorry, Dries Lombard.
Okay, he had emailed me yesterday and just introduced himself, and I went to the website and I thought, really cool that is becoming something that's very popular and sought after in different countries, and it always blows my mind when I hear about how global the strengths movement actually has become.
Yeah.
So since that day, you realized that you wanted to become a coach. And you became trained to coach somebody. You started up a coaching practice. Tell us a little bit about what your strengths journey has looked like since that day. How are you able to apply your talents not only to help yourself grow in your business, but also to help others?
Well, I am a bit of an entrepreneur, so along with strength coaching, I do things like graphic design and web design, and it's another business that I have. So the coaching is not a full-time thing yet, and I really am working towards that. But in the design business, how my strengths has helped me and my clients is because I've got individualization. I think it's one of my biggest strengths in this industry. When I meet up with a client, it's very easy for me to know what they want because I have individualization. So whatever I design them, whether it be a website or a logo, whatever it is, I make it, I add a personalized touch to it. It's professional, it speaks to their market, but it's also something that they like. And I know that there are many designers out there, and one of their biggest complaints to me is always, that why do I have to design the same thing so many times until the client is happy? And for me it works much different. On the first design they are happy, and of course you make a few changes here and there, but in general I don't have that problem. And I really think it adds value to the service that I offer because it's not back and forth the whole time. And also my other strength, restorative, I really like to look at, for instance, a company's website, and my restorative will see so many things that can be better or that can be fixed, or and then I go in there and I bring the website back to life, and it really gives me a lot of satisfaction. And because I'm a learner, in my business I do a lot of research on different industries and the market and so forth, and I think that also adds to my client's experience. And then on the other hand, because I have belief, I run my coaching and my business and everything according to a set of values. And belief is unchangeable. It's hard to change. So, and for me, I think I've seen how special what I have is in my business, and I'm spending more time on using my strengths in my business, where previously I might have looked at other similar companies in this industry, and I might have thought to myself, oh, I need to do it the way they do it. But now I've realized, no, I don't have to, because I offer something else, you know, and I get more satisfaction. Yeah. And in the coaching as well, you know, when I coach people, I think my individualization absolutely comes to life, because I've had someone, I've coached her, and she said to me, you know what, we don't even know each other that well, but it feels like you are inside of my head, you know, and you know, that's awesome. So, and it really gives me the ability to make everything that I do very personalized. I can really adapt to whoever is sitting in front of me and offer them something that I know will be of value to them as individuals.
Yeah, very, very cool. I mean, you and I are very similar in the fact that my other business, my first business, is a marketing firm, and you may need to send me some more information about your business, because I always look for individuals who possess the talents that you have, because I will say that I don't have high individualization and I don't have high restorative, but when you use the example of those talents, you know, converting them into strengths and applying them to your business, I think, man, that's perfect, because you're right. Every client, when it comes to graphic design or web development, every client's looking for something to call their own. I mean, you're developing something personal for them. A website's their online business card. It's an extension of their business. So that's really cool. I'm really glad that we did that interview, because you just provided me with some key insights that I can actually apply to my business and my ethics and beliefs as well. So thank you for that. So what was your first strengths aha moment? You sat down with the pastor. He helped you through the process of strengths-based development and kind of showed you your top 5. So you're sitting there with that report and you're looking at it. What was the first time where you thought, wow, this is exactly what I needed. This is what I was looking for?
Well, it's very hard to, you know, to say what my first aha moment was, because, you know, there's been so many aha moments, I don't even know where to begin. But what I can say to you, though, is significance is my number 2. And I think it's something that a lot of people don't understand. And I think myself, I didn't understand significance either, because it's like I had a kind of an inner struggle. I would like to be unique. I would like to be acknowledged. But at the same time, it's almost like feeling guilty. But, you know, is it okay to want to be in the spotlight? Is it okay, you know, to want to do this and to be acknowledged? And I think the biggest thing that one of the big aha moments for me was that everything that I do is basically because, it's not because I want to be seen, it's because I want to make an impact. And when that impact is noticed by people, it's like fuel that drives me to make another impact. And I mean, obviously positive impacts and, you know, changes. And because I have belief as well, one of my values is humility. Humility is important to me. So I had this, you know, wrestling match between my belief and my significance, because now you want to be seen, but you want to be humble. So how do you balance the two? And I basically think that for many years, at certain stages, I tried to suppress my significance, and I think I also at times felt, you know, guilty about my significance. And, you know, I think maybe I've definitely had some experiences where, you know, where I've had a bad label put on me because of my significance. But because I understand it now, I can definitely manage it much better. It's not something that makes me feel guilty anymore, because I know my intention is to make an impact. And my belief as well, you know, I don't want to say stubborn, but belief can be a bit stubborn at times. And I've also learned how to manage that better, because, you know, I know people have different values and ways that they approach things. So now my belief is not really I don't get so upset anymore, if I can put it that way.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been great because I think, on a very personal level, in terms of relationships, one of the biggest aha moments for me, or one of the I don't know, the most profound things that I realized was some of the relationships that I have with close friends and families. In those relationships, I had certain expectations, of people, like family members as well. And now that I know their strengths and my own strengths, I all of a sudden understand why some of the expectations that I have never realized, and it's not a disappointment to me anymore because I can now just see how beautiful they are and what their intentions are based on their strengths, in everything that they do. So I think it really improved relationships for me.
Yeah, I think you hit on a few key insights that you and I are very similar. I mean, through this interview process, I'm sitting here going, yes, shaking my head because significance is my number 6. And the way you describe significance is something that I'm going to copy because I think, and you should talk to my wife and explain significance to her because maybe she would have a better understanding about it. But you're so right when you say people with high significance, you want to make an impact. It's not about stealing the spotlight. It's not about being the life of the party. It's about making an impact, and then you move on to make another and another and another. And that's just how you're wired. I love that you said that because some people, they misperceive significance as somebody who just wants to be, in that spotlight. They just want to steal all the attention, and that cannot be. That's somewhat true, but they want the attention because they have something meaningful to say or do that they want to be acknowledged for. So, really cool.
I can really say, in terms of significance, whenever I've been, let's say, in some sort of leadership position, my best performance, came forward always. And I think it's part of significance because all of a sudden I know now people are watching me and I need to make a positive impact. The influence that I have is something that I need to use responsibly. And I think, if you don't know about your significance and maybe if you're still young or maybe immature, it could be something where you just want the spotlight. But I think as you develop your talents into strengths, you begin to realize more, the value that you can bring with specifically significance. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, have you ever had any experience where you had two people with high significance performing the same task or in the same group? Or because I've had that, and it's not easy.
Yeah. No, it's not easy.
Yeah.
No, I actually do have a friend with significance, and in the group of people that I associate with, or not friends but more acquaintances, there are quite a few people actually with significance. And yeah, if you do put us in a room together, it's quite interesting, what happens there.
It is.
But yeah.
And I've found that people with significance are somewhat drawn to each other. You would think that they would repel because there's not enough space for them both to be at the top of the mountain. So you think they would shy away. But what I found is that I'm drawn to people with significance. And then once we realize that we're both kind of elbowing or bucking for the same space, then it becomes kind of like a So it does cause a little bit of friction, I've noticed. And I know one person in particular that I work with very closely. She's one of my clients in marketing. I come in there as a professional, and I want to be viewed as the professional and the marketer and kind of the guru, but she wants to be viewed as somebody who's got it all figured out as well. So then we're both kind of like, whose idea is better? Whose idea is better? So it's crazy. But yeah, well, that's a really good story, and I appreciate that kind of feedback and detail about certain themes.
Yeah.
So obviously, you said your friends, some of your friends are strengths aware, things like that. Now,
Mm.
when you go out and you tell people about Strengths Finder and you tell people about the assessment, are you ever met with any kind of resistance at first? You know, the typical, oh, great, another personality assessment, here we go. And if so, how do you get around that? How do you explain to people what Strengths Finder really is and how they can
Mm.
use it to kind of get focus on their sense of direction in life?
I definitely do encounter people that are not, they don't buy into strengths or they don't understand strengths. And what I normally do is I explain to them because, well, what they most of the time they would tell me, no, I don't want to be put in a box. I don't want to be boxed in or labeled. And then I explain to them, that your top 5 strengths create certain dynamics, and even if you've got the same strengths as somebody else, the dynamics is different. And I explain to them that you're in a different stage of your life, which already changes the way your strengths, express themselves. And you've got a different background, you've got a lot of different experiences, interests, and so obviously your strengths is not going to look exactly the same as somebody else's. And for instance, if you're a learner, learners love to learn, you're not going to be interested in the same courses or the same methods of learning as somebody else. So you're not being labeled, you're not being told that you are exactly the same as someone else. But the core value or the core need for each learner is simply to learn. So if you know that you're a learner, then, you can adjust your life in such a way that you can actually go out once a year and learn a new language or whatever you want to do, and get satisfaction from your life. Because sometimes you are in a position like you've got a job where they don't necessarily create space for your learner, as I can go along with that example. So, outside of your job, you yourself can create space for your learner. And I explain to them that it's not a personality test that's going to, tell you that you're an introvert and an extrovert and so forth. It's a very, very, what is the word, like specific. The results are spot on. It's not in general. It is so personal. It is so spot on. And another thing that I do is I will describe my own strengths, but not in too much detail. I'll tell them this is my top 5, and a learner is this, and significance is this, and so on. And then I'll give them examples of how strengths has had an impact in my own life, in my own relationships, and if they're still not interested, then I don't know what to say to them after that.
Right.
But yeah.
There's a saying here in the States, and I don't know if it translates the same in South Africa, but it goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, And I think that's one of the things that when you talk about the different theme dynamics, my number 1 is strategic. And I think my strategic is very cerebral. I develop my strategy up here, whereas other people with high strategic develop their strategy like you would in a football, play plan or something like that. They have it all drawn out and mapped out, whereas I'm like, I got it. It's up here. Don't ask me to explain it.
Yeah.
Just know that I understand what I'm doing next. So it is amazing how the dynamics work. Kind of they're interchangeable between each individual, and I really enjoy, like you said, it's very personal, it's unique, it's and the same woman who had high significance actually, that I used an example before, took an assessment and she said, "Oh, you're a monkey." I said, "I don't even know what that means. What am I supposed to do with that?" She said, "Oh, well, it was a description of they used animals." And I said, "So you just called me a monkey, and she told me a bunch of negative things about monkeys." And then she said, "That's you." I said, "That is completely, that's the polar opposite of what I'm trying to tell her through strengths." But I don't know how.
Well, I also tell them that it's, because now you're talking about, bad things, I tell them that it's based on positive psychology. And I also tell them that it's not about exposing your weaknesses, but, rather focusing on what you are really good at. And I do ask them questions like, so tell me what your top 5 strengths are, even when they haven't done the assessment, because people can't answer that question.
Yeah, that's an amazing point, because you ask them, hey, one of the reasons that I embraced positive psychology and strengths-based development is because when I got out of the military, somebody asked me, what are you good at? And I went, because for so long in my life, I was doing one thing. I was wearing one uniform. I was cutting my hair one way. So that whole individualization part, it wasn't there. I didn't get a lot of personal and unique feedback. So this allowed me to say, somebody said, hey, what are you good at? And I'm like, communicating. I'm good at communicating. I'm good at, winning others over. So now I have an answer to the question.
Great.
So looking at your top 5, what is your favorite and why? Do you have one?
That question. I think a lot of people struggle to answer that because,
they do, yeah.
When I look at my top 5 and I have to choose only one and I have to leave the others behind, it's not easy to do that. But I must say, that my individualization has proven to be a very awesome strength. And all of the strengths are, but I think I use my individualization so much because wherever you go in life, you deal with people. And because individualization is so into viewing people as individuals and looking at what makes them come alive or what their talents are and how it can be utilized, I think my individualization is, relationally an amazing talent. So maybe I would choose that one, but it's really hard.
You're right. It is a hard question to answer, and that's why I ask it, because it makes people kind of think, but it also proves the point that this assessment, the information that it provides you it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't box you in. It doesn't put you in a silo. That's a perfect example of your response right there, that does not happen. We talk about theme envy and things like that, and I will say that individualization is one that if I could create my perfect top 5 for myself, which is never going to happen, but that would be in there because while I care for individuals, I have found that in my coaching practice, my one-on-one coaching is not as effective as my group coaching because while I love the active conversation between multiple people, and sometimes when I'm coaching somebody one-on-one and I pose a question and they give me a very rapid response, and then I got to keep kind of digging to get more information out, I'm not very good at that. Whereas somebody with individualization is going to know what question to ask next to get more info. So the last question I ask, and this is a very introspective one, is looking back. How do you think your life would be different today if let's say strengths you never went to that church meeting, you never were introduced to Strengths Finder? How do you think your life would be different if strengths wasn't part of it?
That is, that question it really makes one think, because I usually think about how would my life have been if I did it at an earlier age. But now thinking about how would my life have been if I never ever found Strengths Finder, that is, I think, I would have probably been frustrated still with life and maybe a bit directionless in a certain degree, even unhappy. So I think, if I haven't done strengths, I wouldn't even have had virtuous coaching, which I now have. I wouldn't have met a lot of people, like the whole strengths community, even on social media, Facebook, everything. Strengths really, it introduced me to so many fantastic people, and it helped my relationships. I honestly can't imagine life without knowing my strengths and having done this assessment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an excellent response. I mean, I always tell people StrengthsFinder and the associated assessment is not a magic pill. It's not going to fix everything in your life, but it's a pretty darn good vitamin supplement to take if you just want to feel a little bit more alive. And like you said, it eased your worries. It kind of relaxed your stress levels. It helped you provide a direction in life, and
and confidence.
Confidence is a huge
I think
confidence
it definitely
booster.
builds. Yeah, definitely.
Well, great. You know, you really opened up a lot of, let's say, blockages that were in my mind when I was trying to describe certain things. You provided me with a lot of tools and great content here, and I'm sure it will do the same for our listeners. So on behalf of myself and Unleash Strengths and all the people that follow us, thank you for choosing to be a guest on our show.
You are so welcome, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. All right, everybody, this is Andy Sokolovich from Unleash Strengths. That does it for episode number 13 of Theme-addicts. Be sure to, again, follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/UnleashStrengths. And if you want to be on the show, we're always looking for more people to chat about strengths. Email Andy at UnleashStrengths.com. All right, this is a great episode. I'm excited to get this one up on the webpage, excited to get it out there onto iTunes and Spreaker, and we look forward to our next interview, which is coming up this Friday with the one and only Jim Collison. All right, see you guys later.